podcast, we have a lady on the show. So, what's going on, Stormy? Introduce yourself to the new audience here.
Hi, I'm Stormy, and I am excited to be here on the Men Like Us podcast with the fellas. It's nice to be with the fellas.
Yes, and welcome. Thanks for joining us and giving us your time. Um, so I did a collaborative video with Stormy last year. So just so y'all know where'd you get her? Why y'all let why is she the one that gets me on the show? Well, she's a content creator as well. If you want to go check out her channel, tell them where they can find you.
So you can find me on YouTube. My channel is ValdezINC, Valdez Inc. We have a kind of like a talk show production called Sister Voices Speaking. And then we have a non-video only audio podcast called Stormy Days, the podcast. And it's more like science-based, gossip-based. I'm a science junkie, so we do a lot of science talking. And then we recently created from our network, I have a network called Sin Circle, which stands for Sisters International National Network. And from that network, we have something called Panel of Women, which we have trans women and women interacting together on like a podcast type of platform, if you want to say. And we have different topics, and you can find me on YouTube.
All right, go check it out. So now that we've been going for a few minutes, we definitely got some more people in on the stream right now. Um, so what's good, everybody? Thanks for joining us for yet another Friday evening. I know I've been gone for a minute. Please don't hate me for it. Life is busy. Lots of stuff going on, but we just gonna jump right into it. So, I know I'm late on this. I know. But there's this story about this Miami stripper, Miss TS Hennessy Marie. It was definitely blowing up, and it's just worth commentary. I know it's been talked into the ground on some other channels, but hey, we're gonna have our say too. So just to give y'all some background, this woman named Hennessy Marie. I don't think she's from Miami. She's from, I think she might be West Coast or New York, one of the two, but from a bigger city and then went down to Miami. She went and got her, SRS, all that stuff, and then went down to Miami to work as a stripper. And, she was working at the strip club, doing her thing. And, nobody there knew that she was trans. And she started engaging with men who visited the strip club as well. This is her. This is TS Hennessy Marie. So then after she started engaging with men at the club, then I guess for whatever reason, she started, quote, exposing men and outing them on social media. And it's kind of just created a flurry of reaction videos from content creators across YouTube. And I think the reaction has been it was mostly bad, disingenuous. Some of it is very cringeworthy because they're saying, "Oh, well, this man shouldn't have been treated." So the people doing the conversation isn't, or content really isn't, they're not doing it the best they could. But anywho, so yeah, just the long and short of it for me, I am 110% in support of her working at the strip club and not informing her bosses, the management, the owners, whatever. That strip club is not entitled to know that she is trans. However, any individual she decided to engage in sexual activities with had a right to know. And the fact that she didn't say anything, she kind of took away their choice. And I believe everybody should have a choice to opt in or out in terms of whatever the fuck they do. So that's just me off top. But Stormy, I'm gonna let you take it away and tell us what you think about this story, because I know we was chopping it up a little bit before we got started here about it. So let your voice be heard.
Okay. So this can go like 9,000 different ways. And I know some trans women who are post-op, they feel that they don't have to tell dudes. I'm in between. I probably would say something only because I think it is fair. And I think probably aesthetically, I probably would think they probably would know a difference. So that part, I'm really on the fence. I think you definitely should be open about telling them you're trans when you get to an intimate position. But on the contrary of her being a stripper, I think that's dope. I didn't know much about the story. I just kind of like found out honestly from a meme, and someone sent it to me, and I'm not gonna say that I keyed and laughed about it, but I was just like, oh my god, what is going on here? Like, I don't like exposing. I think it's not right. I don't even really know what that means because from my point of view, when you say you're exposing guys, I kind of feel like, are you making us as trans women look bad? Like, ha ha, yeah, I'm exposing you. You were with a trans woman. It's kind of like makes us look bad. What do you guys think?
True.
It's almost like
One
like
thing
a bad thing.
I didn't like is because she was like, one of the content creators, I forgot her name, well, she said she kept on saying that calling them gay men. Just let y'all next with me. I'm like, okay, regardless if you transition, right? Way far out for your transition. Even got your whole body done, even got SRS. Gay? What does that make you? And this is what I'm not understanding. I hate girls that do that. Give me some, like, Stormy was saying, it's like you're making it bad. A trans woman, it's bad. Like, why are you doing that? That's the only thing I didn't like about by saying, she didn't have she didn't have to let her employer was trans or whatever, but she do have to let the guys that she's engaged in. She have to let them have their right to choose if they want to go forward with this. Or but me personally, I just didn't like the part where she was like referring to the men as gay now, and how they do. It's bugged out. I don't like any woman that do that. Any trans woman don't like that.
Colin, you got any thoughts?
I do actually. So in regards to the strip club itself, Chris, I do agree with you. I don't think that that's something that should need to be disclosed. Like, it's a place of employment, and so where I am in Canada, that's not the kind of thing that needs to be disclosed. When it comes to personal relationships, though, I do feel like that should be disclosed, but I feel like aside from the fact that it needs to be disclosed, in my opinion, for everybody's comfortability, it's also a safety thing as well. And again, I'm basing this off of like stories I've heard, friends that I have. I mean, like I have two trans women friends who, one is post-op, one is pre-op, and they are both talking about going stealth, particularly, and in my opinion, unfortunately, the pre-op trans friends that I have, she doesn't disclose until she, drops her skirt. And that's, to me, a big safety issue as well, because of like a lot of what we see within the world that we live in. So personally, I do think that it's important to disclose for a number of factors. Again, like one being comfortability, being understanding and accepting. But on the opposite side of things, the safety aspect for the women involved in this, because that's a big thing. And when I hear particularly people I care about as friends saying like, oh, I don't disclose. And again, this is both pre-op and post-op. It concerns me from a safety aspect. If again, like the being completely open with the person that you're going to be intimate with, great. But on that safety aspect, we don't need to see another fucking article about a trans woman being hurt.
Right. I agree.
Right? So that's my opinion on the matter.
You know what? I'll tell you this much.
Do you think?
Okay.
Do you have to, like, when you say like tell the person that they're trans? You mean like in an intimate time? Because I also don't think a trans woman should go like to every human being and be like, oh my god, I'm trans. But I think that when you come to like a intimate setting, I think it's important.
And I completely agree with you on that one, Stormy. So what I was saying, not like you don't have to tell everybody. Not everybody needs to know. But in that very intimate setting, between you and a person that you're going to be intimate with, that's when I think it's important.
Yes, absolutely. I'll share a story really quick. I was probably 24, 25, and I was really dibbling, dabbling in, procedures that made me more feminine, and I was really on the hormones. And I met this guy, and this is a whole nother conversation, but like there's colorism within especially the Black trans community, so there was a lot of pressure to be like what they call cunt and womanly and so femme. And passable, but they called it the C-U-N-T word.
No, I understand.
And like almost think you are not cunt, honey. You need to take more meds. And I was like, oh my god. So I'm taking shots, patches, pills, and so like because they always made me feel like it wasn't like passable enough, I assumed like the whole world knew. So I met this person, he owned a store and he was Arabian. And I thought, like, I swear to God, I thought he knew I was trans. And he didn't. And like he almost like tried to attack me and was like, oh my God, I'll, just take
all these horrible things.
Yeah, right. I don't want to like speak into existence, but like I'll do these things I need to do. And I was just like, OMG, like what the fuck? So then he left, and then like I literally had to like walk around his store where I live to get home. Like I would like cross other streets, walk down, and then come down. It was so weird. But that's how like nervous I was. And I don't think a lot of girls understand when you start having surgeries and you really start transitioning to that opposite sex, it could be very dangerous because some girls don't understand the allure that they have. And if you're not honest, it definitely could be very dangerous. And I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah, and it is very unfortunate. Sincerely, it's very unfortunate that happens. It's really shitty that it's
the more passable you get, the harder it is also to like tell guys, especially if you like them, because sometimes you might be like, oh my God, I really like this man, and then when you tell them, it's like, oh girl, are you fucking nuts? No way. And you're like, oh my God. So yeah, it's like a double whammy,
double standard. Yeah, like yeah, that's really shitty. And it's really shitty that again, like in 2022, we still live in a world that's even a thing. Now obviously it's different for when you're interacting with like guys like us. But in just the day-to-day, it's so shitty. But again, like from a safety aspect, it's so important in that very intimate setting. Everybody else, fuck them. Like
when you said your girlfriends were going stealth, what did they mean by that?
Okay, so that would be that they were not going to disclose at all. And surprise in the moment. Now with my post-op friend that I have, if we're going on the term, which I do feel is a personal definition of passable, she's very elegant, but she still has a lot of issues when it comes to the general populace treating her like a woman. right? And even with post-op, so I like in that aspect, I worry about the, like her getting in a situation, an intimate setting with a man, and something coming up, like around her post-op surgery, or like her lack of other surgeries, like Adam's apple, just something that might be noticed. That every time that she's like, I want to go stealth, I don't want to tell people, I'm looking at her like, that scares me as your friend.
It's go ahead, Troy.
Right. And then with my pre-op friend, it terrifies me even more, because it's like she gets in that moment. And when that moment comes, and all of a sudden, again, the cert comes off, and
boom, cat meat.
Exactly. Right. Just those scenarios scare me so much, as being somebody that cares about these two individuals as a friend. And I'm sitting here like, fuck, don't do either of those things.
Like, what are you doing? I'll tell you this much, man. I don't know. Actually, we're gonna add my homie Dom on the show. What's up,
Hey,
Dom?
what's going on, guys? Hi, how you doing?
Hey,
Cool. Yeah, man. Really. So, Dom, we're talking about at this point where we kind of landed on, women stealthing, and one thing I wanted to add in the conversation is I literally have zero friends in the trans community who look back on the dumb decisions they made young, trying to what they call play with fire, and say, yeah, that was a good choice. I should have done that. Like, yeah, that was good. Like, nobody is saying, I've never heard any woman in her 30s or beyond say, yeah, that wasn't a mistake. No, they're like, yeah, I was just dumb. I was young. I know I shouldn't have been doing that. And like everybody has regrets about it. Nobody says this is a winning strategy. But for whatever reason, I think there's a lot of youth. I think, and now this is where I become the enemy of the state. I think there's a little bit of selfishness in there. Like, you gotta have that feeling. You are where, like, you're putting how you feel and what you feel and what you want to feel like above somebody else. Somebody else's like rights. Like, everybody should have the right to know who and what they're dealing with. Everybody should have a right to say yes, no, I'm in for this. I'm not in for that. So even the post-op girls, like, I just think it's wrong, and I think it's really immoral for you to just not give a fuck about how somebody else feels or what they want. You're only concerned about what you want.
Well, and the thing with that too, Chris, is like, how can you say that you care about somebody even in a moment if you're gonna keep that, if you're gonna, put your needs above the other person, particularly in that moment when you're supposed to be focused on the other person?
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. I'm being a bad guy. I'm just saying the stuff that the bad guy has to say. So, everybody else can not get canceled. I'm sorry. Let me make that adjustment, because yeah. Give me 1 second.
Well,
we're gonna edit the video.
There's also some stigma, and don't edit anything. Keep it the way it is. Keep it all the way real. I think also there may be like a tinky bit of stigma, because like some girls don't want to be socialized with being known as transgender, because like for me, for example, I come from like a further back transitioning days. We were transsexuals and we wanted to transition to the opposite sex. And I think like the new wave of transgender is why a lot of girls don't want to say they're transgender, because they don't want to be like what they call spooked or like outed or known for something that's not related to them, because like we're all getting pushed under this like umbrella. And so like some girls, like I have a girlfriend who will not tell anyone she's trans, and I find that like super hard to believe, because at first I used to be like intimidated by her, like, oh my god, she's sex change, before I like did whatever I chose to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so fabulous. But then I started seeing certain things like, girl, you're not that real, honey. I'm realer than you, girl. Not to be like competitive, but I was like, how can you people not know? Not trying to like put my own people down, but it's like, we got to keep it real with ourselves. And I was like, there's things that give you away, girl. Like, you don't 100% look that much like a woman, girl. And like when I saw her post-op surgery, I was kind of like cringing a tiny bit because I was like, girl, what is going on here? So it's like at the end of the day, like we just got to keep it 100% real. But I do believe that sometimes some girls may feel a little stigma in saying they're trans because there's a lot of things that are going on with this community and it makes it difficult, you know?
Absolutely. There's, I mean, I am not here to sit in the woman's place and take her voice from her or anything like that. I just had to offer up something from the male perspective, because when these conversations are had on the internet, nobody gives a fuck about the guys, their feelings, what they think, what they want.
No, they're ugly.
This is absent. So I just had to put out what I put out there in terms of that. But to kind of get back to the to the Hennessy thing, she had every right not to tell her employer, but these guys that she was having sex with, having sessions with, whatever, I think she was absolutely on the wrong side of this. And anybody who would co-sign on her not telling these men and having sex with them, they're just completely wrong. You're being.
Did y'all see the meme though? Was I the only one that saw the meme?
I have not.
Yeah, no, we didn't see the meme.
Let me ask you.
Oh my God, it's a kiki.
Let me ask a quick question, because I just watched the video to get caught up on what was going on. So Hennessy, right?
Yeah.
She is post-op or she pre-op?
Post.
She's post-op. Okay. So I'm going to kind of play two sides about this, right? So if she's post-op, right, she's essentially completed her journey. So technically, does she, if her post-op is done professionally and it looks, this is going to sound bad, but presentable, as in presenting as if it was a cisgender female, does she have to disclose that information?
That's the question that I was going to ask, because that's where I was stuck, because my girlfriend Mahogany, the one I was saying, feels that no, you don't. Because if you think about the science of this, that's why this transgender movement is so different than what I'm used to transitioning. Because back in the days, you had to like get a therapist, get diagnosed, and then you get on hormones. And at the end of that was the surgery. And if you were fortunate to get a good doctor, the girls never spoke of that ever again, and they lived their life as a woman. And so a lot of girls are still trapped in that world where once you transition, you are transitioned to that sex and you live your life like that. So to answer the question, that's where I feel it's a catch-22. Because if I have a fab doctor, I'm probably not saying nothing. I'm just going to keep it all the way real. I'm probably not, because like, I don't know. I think
it's a recipe for destruction. You're building a relationship on lies, live omission, whatever. It's a recipe for destruction. You're not going to be successful in your marriage, whatever else. And if you are until you die, once your husband finds out, it's not going to be good things for him. Like, I literally know a guy who went through a whole marriage, loved the fuck out of his wife, and found out after she died that she was actually trans. And he wasn't hurt by the fact that she was trans. He was hurt by the fact that she didn't trust him.
Why?
Like, the fact that he wasn't told, it hurt him that she didn't trust him and that he never got to know a certain side of her. And actually, he was jealous of some of the guys like myself who was like, man, like, you know a side of my wife that I never knew. And I'm actually kind of feeling some kind of way about that. Like, it hurts me that she didn't tell me. Like, people is really looking at this shit in a context that isn't in that doesn't deal with love. You're dealing with want to be fucking blend in. I don't know. You just want to fuck people. You're looking for a fantasy life, whatever. I don't know. But the love, the relationship, that real shit, that isn't even in it because a lot of these girls don't know nothing about it. That's not their experience.
Well, if you think about transitioning, you gotta like have just a little wiggle room, because like it's like a part of your PHI, which is like your protected health information. So this is why I don't understand the new position of the trans, because they're like so pro. Oh my god, everybody gotta know. Back in the days, we were more like, shh, honey, I'm trans. What are you talking about? Like, we didn't talk about it. And so I'm learning a lot of things today. I'm really raw new because I come from a different type of transitioning era. And like, so like for us, some girls believed that once we transitioned, that was the cure of our diagnosis of being gender dysphoric. So once we transitioned, a lot of us believed that we were that sex, and some girls can't help it, Chris, and they believe that. But that's a part of their condition.
Go ahead, guys. Or one.
I was going to say, yeah, okay. True. I agree with that to a certain extent, right? But then you also have those girls that, you know, go all the way and have that transition, and then they have more dysphoric about their body because they go, okay, wait a minute, is this what I really wanted in this moment in time? This is what I wanted. Now that I've had the surgery, I wish I haven't had it. So
I don't know about that. That's insane. That's why you don't do things before you're ready. You know, I don't. Wow. That's the insanity.
I will say that. I mean, we going before people riot and Google shuts this whole thing down. That is disclaimer. Everybody here, we all understand that's a minority of the population that
absolutely.
Detransitions and all that stuff. But in terms of the regret, Dom, I think what I've seen more than the detransition stuff is the struggles and I guess what no. Well, I don't want to go into that specifically because that ain't got nothing to do with the men. But the part that has to do with the men is really the dating life. Because I did a show about this like really early on in this podcast, where I had a woman. She was just talking about like, hey, yeah, it's my dating pool decreased after I got this surgery because the guys who like trans women mostly like women with penises, and then men who don't deal with trans women, either A, want kids, or B, they don't look at me like a cis woman, which okay, whatever. I'm already canceled. It's on here. I'm canceled.
we see that.
I believe trans women are women. Trans women are women through and through and through. But I look at it like trans women and cis women are both women, but they're not the same. And trans women will never be cis women. And like they're just two different kinds of women. And they're valid in their own right, and they're equal in all things in my mind in terms of rights and privileges of being a woman. But like, I'm sorry. There's no. I will never go on record and truly say trans women are exactly the same as cis women. There are differences.
Well, that's why a lot of trans women walked away from the transgender community, because a lot of us know that. It's the newer age transgenders who don't know that, and they want that to be right. Because I'm a transsexual and I know that, and I'm okay with that. But some girls want to be exactly the same to the extent of going to get implants to have children. What kind of child are you going to have in a trans implanted stomach? Like, I think that's wild. And I'm not so trans that I've lost reality. And I think some things have lost reality.
Look, I would go for that if it was real.
But I mean,
like that's what they're doing.
At the same time, though, that's the beauty of the science, right? And that's what makes where we're at in this day and age wonderful, right? So either way, if I'm openly now embracing myself over the past 8 years of one being okay saying, yeah, I date trans women, or I was married to a trans woman. I was married to one for about 7-8 years, almost 10. And it took me need to realize that if this is who I'm attracted to, then I have to be okay with that. But also, it gives me hope as being trans attracted and dating in this community if she has a penis or not, right? So if I'm dating a woman and she goes from being pre-op to post-op, and that surgery is available for us to conceive children, dude, I hit the lottery. For me, that's fantastic because I'm with the woman that I love. I'm also attracted to her, and we're able to have children. I won the lottery right there. That's the way I see it. But if that doesn't come down to it, being able to have children biologically, I'm okay with that too. You know, I got other things that make me happy, and of course, there's adoption and surrogacy, and I mean, either way, all around, I win. That's the way I see it. If I find somebody that I fall in love with, if she decides to stay pre-op, cool. If she decides to go that she wants to do post-op, sorry, I just got a message. It's to head down that journey of being post-op, and then we'll tackle it. We'll do it together, and I'll be backing you 100% of the way. And whatever you need from me, let me help you. Let me do it. That's the way I see it. But yeah, with the whole surgery, being able to carry a uterus and being able to have children biologically, that's great. That works for me.
Well, I want to correct
Love it
myself.
too.
I don't want to sound like derogatory. I think science is amazing. I mean, look at me. I'm totally science. But I also don't think that it should shift reality, the thinking of reality. Like, I think, you know, some people need to understand that women need to be protected, men need to be protected, and trans people need to be protected as well.
Word.
This is why I come prepackaged with 2 kids already.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colin's already got kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, Dom, I wish I lived in a world where we could do that, do the implantation or whatever, or the uterus stuff. Because really, surrogacy is expensive.
Sure,
It is an expensive endeavor, and
adoption is a very long process.
Unless
that's the route they
unless
choose.
you have
that too.
right, unless you have, like in my case, so with my ex-wife, right.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the plan was okay because I guess I can disclose this. I mean, I really shouldn't, but at the time she wasn't on hormones. She just recently started.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan was, okay, when I turn 30 and she turns 26, then we're going to start that journey for having children. So her sister was going to be a surrogacy. So we have that bloodline on my ex-wife's side. And then my sister was going to be a surrogacy. So we have a bloodline on my side. We're going to have a total of 3 kids. And then the third child will look into adoption and go down that avenue. That's what the game plan was.
That's fair. It's equitable.
Yeah.
Very fair. My sister was mine too, but we kind of aged out of that. Like my sister just turned like 38, and I'm like, well, I had to find somebody else.
Luckily, I have 3 sisters, but one is 27, the other is 24, and then the other is 24. So
dope. But you got time, brother.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not forever, but you got some time. Yeah. So I think was there any other aspect of this TS Hennessy Marie story that anybody wanted to hit before we moved on to the next topic?
So I guess I've just been out of the loop with working and everything. I had no idea any of this was going on until you sent me the video. I didn't know. Is this like a big? I mean, obviously a big thing in the community going around, but just in the public side.
No, nah. There were. I mean, I haven't seen any stories written about it on news websites, even gossip blogs. It's been all YouTube content creators responding to this. I think it was like a lot of it got exposed through Instagram.
Sure.
TikTok.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, TikTok. There we go. My bad.
Yeah.
TikTok. But hey, look. Obviously, she looks great, and there's no way for anybody to know, which kind of leads us into our next topic. Because we were hanging out before the show, the subject of passability came up, and passability privilege and all that kind of stuff. And Stormy had some questions, like really there were things that she wanted to know, like in terms of what do you guys think in relation to this. So Stormy, I'm gonna let you just pose your questions, and the guys will just respond.
Okay, so I guess as I had mentioned before, with the network that I deal with, SIN Network, which is Sisters International National Network, a topic came up about like passing privilege, and is that a deal breaker? Is that something that plays a role in why men may be on the DL and or their attraction? So for example, if a woman is more passable, you may be more public with her, bring her around your family. What does the term passing privilege mean in a guy's perspective?
So Trail, take it away, man. I'll let you lead off on this one.
All right. Me, I'm not gonna lie when it comes to the guys. Like, there's a lot of guys I know personally, and majority of them, they only like talk to girls that's quote unquote passable, a certain type of look and stuff like that. And I normally see them be with them more, But me personally, it's got to be about how much does she embody her womanhood. I mean, I'm not really so stuff like that. I'm not. I'm not gonna sit here and say I talk to anything, but I do get where they're coming from. This community, you got some that are open, you got some that's not open, you got some that's not even, that's just DL, And like I said, I know all of them. I know all types. I don't really hang who I hang with. The ones that's open, that's why I normally be with. I kind of understand where they come from when they do it, because they, how you say, they don't want to explain themselves. They don't want to have to explain themselves, explain the family. Some people just don't have tough skin. They don't have a tough mental for this, or anything like that. And like I said, came in this, I'm like, yo, you really have to have thick skin and a tough mental, to come up in this. Because, not to really curse, so I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck at all. I didn't care, because me on my deathbed, or I'm in that casket, I want the people that really rock with me there. That's it. That really didn't rock with me around, because that's fake to me. So, but to answer your question, I understand from both parts. I ain't saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right, but I do understand from both parts. I'm not gonna lie. Go with the most passable looking girls, because it's less to explain. It's not really to be even seen out in public, because I live here in New York, which is it's more, how you say, diverse. So you get somebody's gonna be looking all hard and talking shit. They probably talk junk in their head or to themselves. I ain't for everybody. The situation ain't for everybody. But at the end of the day, it's like, just don't have it. Have it in them. Some dudes. I'm not gonna say people. Some dudes, they don't have it and really stand on this. You understand? But like if you get in a relationship with a girl, stand on it. I don't care if you get in a serious relationship with a girl, you have to stand on it. You have to show her that. That's plain and simple. Because that's what I did. I only had one relationship, one real relationship of being open. I only had one real relationship. And I told her from jump, I'm not letting you even I'm new to this relationship wise, but dating I'm not. But being in a relationship, I was open. I was new, so I had to let her know, like, yo, I'm about, and I was willing, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it lasted for 5 years. Some great, gonna lie, but everything, all good things always come to an end. But yeah.
Okay.
So this is probably going to get me canceled, but
Here we go.
in my experience, right? So I learned of my attraction to trans women back as early as 2011, 2012. So I was 18, 19 years old. So at that point, I discovered. I'm sorry.
I said you're pretty young. Not to cut you off, but you're pretty young.
No, yeah. So
I was in this since 2000.
Okay. Yeah. So looking back on it now, I was the definition of a chaser. And I'm going to straight up and say that's what I was. But I've learned how to look at myself and realize what I was doing wrong and how to grow from that and be, one, a better lover and a better person. Right. So in the beginning, I discovered the Holy Grail, right? Bailey J. I discovered Bailey J. And I was just Bailey J, Aubrey Kate, those women, and I was just obsessed. And at that point, it was okay. So here's my attraction. This is what these feelings. Also, what's her name from The Hangover 2? That's the first time I've ever seen a trans woman.
Yasmin, something.
Yeah,
I want to say Lee. No.
Yep. So,
you talking about porn stars?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I know. Terrible. But,
no, it's not terrible.
I realized this attraction.
I just don't know.
Yeah, Trell doesn't watch trans porn. He doesn't know the names.
Oh, okay. So I discovered I had my attraction, and it was one of those things where I was like being 12 years old again. I didn't care what she looked like, who she was. I just wanted it at that point. Mm-hmm. Oh, I put it all up on me. And so I was
I
played. I played safe, of course, because you had to. But I was meeting women off of transgender.com, OkCupid, and there was one other website. I forget. And it was telling them what they wanted to hear and just being able to sleep with them. And I realized that's wrong. That is terribly wrong. And that makes me a disgusting person. But it was one of those things where it's like you try candy for the first time or sugar and you absolutely need it, right? And in that experience, there was things where these women weren't passable. I mean, they were either very early on in the transition or they've had experience and they were non-passable, let's just say. But I realized, because they would say, okay, let's date, or I want, meet my family, or I want to meet your family. I realized in myself that one thing I had to overcome was internalized transphobia within myself, to be able to say, okay, here's my attraction, be proud of who I am, accept who I am, and actually take that leap and fall for someone and love someone. I met my wife around a little later after that time, and we were together. And being with her at first in the beginning, so I think Chris, he's seen a photo of my ex-wife. You can tell she's trans, but you also can't at the same time. She can play either or, right? And it was one of those things where in the beginning I had to learn how to be okay with myself. In order to love her correctly, I had to learn how to be okay with myself. Being out in public, I mean, we got people staring at us and, backlash from my family. And I was constantly looking over my shoulder. And then something just clicked where all of that just went away, right? And I didn't realize it anymore. I didn't realize it. I didn't feel it. I didn't see the stares. I didn't feel the people talking behind my back. It all just kind of stopped. And now, I would say it's the same thing where I'm okay to be out in public, and I can just, if you and I are in a room and we're having a conversation, that's it. That's all that's in front of me. If you're passable or not, I mean, that doesn't bother me at all. Also, too, where I am in Texas, there is a trans group here, a local trans group, which I was a part of, and I went to for a long time, and that was also a learning experience for myself, being able to see what it was like on that side of the fence, so to speak. But going to your question with what do I find passable versus non-passable? Do I find the whole completely doll plastic surgery, high performance makeup, pretty much where they walk into a room and these women glow? No, I mean, yeah, that's nice to look at porn. You know, it's great. It adds that spice, but that's not attractive to me in the real world. When I meet someone, I want the natural beauty. I want who you are, not what's behind not what the makeup is presenting. So that's what I find attractive. I mean, with myself, and it's just like if I was speaking with cisgender women, you know, I may find this trans woman or a cisgender woman attractive. Chris, you may not, or Colin, you may not find this person attractive. I mean, it's all about your own. What's the word I'm looking for?
Well, it's about
Your perception of beauty.
Perception. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. And you know, I'm the youngest guy here, I feel like. So I still have a lot to learn, one about myself.
How old are you?
I just turned 30.
He's saying that like he just turned 50 too. He's like, fuck, I just turned.
Happy belated birthday, whenever your birthday was.
Hey, own that one, bro. I would love to be 30 again. I'll roll that clock back.
My god, so would I. Holy
I'm
shit.
in the back half of my 30s right now, bro. So I'm like, man, I feel you though. I was there.
Yeah. So it's still, it's still a learning curve. I'm finally in a spot to where I can present myself and be able to stand my ground. And if people make fun of me about it, I've learned to, and I guess this is the mature side of me, or just the acceptance of myself that I have, to where at times it would be like, shut the fuck. Can we curse on this?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm not attracted to these trans women. But now it's like, yeah, so what? Or if somebody's like, oh, Dom's not Dom wouldn't be attracted to her unless she's got a penis. And it's just, okay, laugh it off and you move on. Before, I used to get very defensive and, shut up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And and just internalized transphobia and denial. And I think that's what a lot of, believe it or not, and fight me on it, but I think that's what a lot of men feel and have, because they haven't really, their whole life they're told that this is wrong and it's not okay to be attracted to this. But what I like right now, and I don't know if I'm making sense or not, but what I like right now, especially in the social medias, and we're seeing more and more, we're seeing more men being openly attracted to trans women, and
I see that too.
Yeah. So, it's always going to be a constant battle for men, trans women and cis men. From the dawn of time, it's always been that way, right? But it's just all about first accepting yourself, and then from there you're able to see what truly attracts you. Body, spirit, mind, all of that stuff. You start there, and then you look on the outside and see what you like, what you don't like. You may like blondes, you may like brunettes, or redheads. It doesn't matter. I met this girl recently on Instagram, she's attractive, but at the same time, you can tell she's trans, right? Just mainly in specific features. I mean, which is fine. But I find you attractive, and we hung out. What's today? 23rd. So we hung out on Tuesday, which was amazingly perfect. She surprised me, came up from Austin, and spent the whole day together. And it was just, I was comfortable. You know, it felt like I've been talking to you for months, or we've been together for, a year. So, yeah. But for me, honestly, attraction, brown eyes, brown hair, great smile. You have those three things, we can talk about marriage tomorrow. So just make sure you have those.
That's what's up, man.
The one thing, Dom, that I actually wanted to point out was, okay, yeah, so you're the youngest person in the group.
Sure.
But you had, like, I'm 3 months away from 40 myself. I'm on, as Chris said, the back end of 30
Sure.
at this point. But you've got a really intelligent and really insightful view for a young man.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
For a person, actually, like, regardless of your age. Thank you for sharing that. That was quite refreshing to hear from somebody who is still in the same generation as us, but on the younger end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The younger millennials.
Yeah, I mean,
the young ones. We're the old ones.
I mean, it comes with anything, right? You have to make mistakes to be able to learn from it, and to know what to do and not what to do. One thing early on, so I mean, Chris knows that I'm into films and I write films and have my own podcast show and stuff like that. So a way for me in the beginning to tell the world of my attraction was put it in the form of my art. I started writing more television pilots or films that had a trans character at the forefront, and using that as more of kind of introducing this to the people around me and my family. Like, hey, I wrote this. Here's my research of it. Because in the beginning, who I learned a lot from, surprisingly, I believe her name was Jazz Jennings. I saw that 2020 video with Barbara Walters, or that interview.
That young girl.
And yeah, that helped me learn a lot about trans and what it means. I saw a child going through this, and it opened my eyes to it, right? And then from there, you start hitting Google and you start doing research, and you learn things about, at the time, there was this, I think it was down in Houston, this girl was running for homecoming queen, and she was trans, and she won, and the first person at her high school to do it. And you start learning that there's people out there changing the game. You learn the correct terminology, because in the beginning it was this, and I apologize about using this word. I know for some people it's terrible, and it could be a trigger warning, and I apologize. But in the beginning, I was a dog, and I've come a long way to where I can be able to say, hey, these were my mistakes. I own it, but I moved on from it. Meet someone, oh, you're a she-male. Hey, what's going on? You're hot. A lot of my messages in the beginning was that way. And I either got a lot of hate from it. From there, I learned the correct terminology. Trans, there's certain questions you ask. There's certain questions you don't ask, right? And it was just, I didn't have anybody like this group growing up until last year? Yeah. Maybe 7 months ago, whatever, when I met this group. So I didn't have an outlet. So a lot of this experience was just me learning on my own, falling and picking myself up and going, okay, I did that wrong. Now we can do this right. And, Chris, having this is amazing. And I think this should be more in the public eye, and especially on, like, if this show or something like this was on MTV, I think that'd be great. And we would see more people coming out You know what I
Oh
mean?
my God, it would
Let's
be
make it happen.
a
Right.
headache.
Let's do it.
Because you know what would
I
happen.
I honestly
Mhm.
think that this just should not be a podcast show or a
Mhm.
YouTube series or however your vision for this. I think start touring. Start doing live shows, start holding conventions. I mean, I know all that stuff costs
I
money,
just
but
at a
things,
convention.
Yeah.
I will guest speak in Canada if you ever come up this way, buddy.
oh yeah. I mean, all of
Yeah.
these things need to hit up your local radio station. Hey, this is what's
Mhm.
going on. This is what's happening in the community. This is television. Get on the news. Talk about this stuff, man. I mean,
We've been
yeah,
on Fox Soul.
You
Shout
were
out
our
to Fox
Fox
Soul.
show? No way.
Yeah. When the Dave Chappelle thing hit, we got
Oh,
on there. I'm not gonna lie. At the time, I was an employee of Fox anyway, so it wasn't hard to do it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But I
Use
mean,
and abuse
it's,
my connections.
I don't know. To bring it back, that's just where I
Yeah.
see my attraction. My attraction
Mhm.
first is look at myself. What
Mhm.
do I find attractive about myself? What qualities about myself do I find attractive versus not being attractive? Right there, it's what do I find in a woman that attracts me? Body, spirit, mind, of course, right?
Yep.
And then also you have the personalities and little things, quirky things, and then from there, someone being trans that you're attracted to, great. That's not the end all be all, but that's just check the box. That's one thing that I love, one thing that I like. What else does she got? Because if you just focus on that one little thing, you're not gonna have success.
Nah.
In men's community, number one. Number two, you'll just be cast out as just the chaser or the guy that just wants a quick fix and move on about his life. But I don't know.
That's what he's looking for. And in regards to this passable, not passable, what are your dating proclivities related to that? And I think one of the biggest mistakes guys make in this space is they date the body, not the person. And I'm not talking about her privates. I'm talking about, oh dang, look, she got the BBL, she got the MFS, she got big old titties, she got this, she got that done. Like they're looking for the porn star as like they see the porn and then they go for that and that only, not realizing that trans bodies are diverse and they don't all just look like that. So, they come in thinking, well, I'm only going to do it if I get with a girl like that. And that's like, I'm going to just be real. A lot of the girls, there are a good amount of the girls who look like that, who are visible. Frankly, them girls ain't trying to get married. They're living their lives. They're doing their OnlyFans thing. They making a quote coin. They just ain't built for it. That ain't their thing. Now, I just think it's like, hey, what are you doing to get the outcomes that you want? You want that real love. You want that marriage shit. You can't go after, swimsuit models only. Like that's some incel shit, really. But I'm sorry, Colin. I wanted to give you a moment to jump in on this because I know we kind of just was all over the place. So what are your thoughts on this? Like related to like for you, does a girl being passable or not passable matter in terms of who you choose to date?
No. It doesn't at all. I mean, like, but again, so I come from this in a very different aspect. Sorry, just give me 1 second. I gotta throw my cat across my fucking apartment. But yeah, like, so I come at this a little bit differently from the being part of the community because I'm queer, right? Which Chris, you and I have talked about in the past, and I have said before on your past podcasts. So for me, I mean, like, I don't really have a preference. I don't care if you're a cis guy, cis man, cis woman, trans man, trans woman. So I don't really care about passability at all. I care about the person that I'm with, and like you said, it's don't date the body. It's what's up here and what's in here. Mm-hmm. And to me, these two things are way more important than what's here. I don't give a shit what social standards are in regards to passable, good looking. Don't care. Don't give a fuck whatsoever. And I can't emphasize that enough. What I look for is context and that the beauty of the inner. And that's the most important thing. Because, like, and I'll say this to every particularly in this community, because like you said on that one, Chris, like, you want to date the porn star? You're like,
I mean, I don't want anybody walking away saying that, you know, we don't believe that porn stars aren't worthy of love.
yeah, and I do
your
apologize.
chances of getting that old school traditional monogamous relationship that you wanted, your parents had,
and again, I do apologize.
You don't want to put all your eggs in that one basket.
Yeah, exactly. And I shouldn't have stated it that way. And I do apologize to anybody who is listening to this.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
But coming back to passability, to me, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to care if somebody that I'm with is passable based off of social standards. As long as, and again, like with me, and I've said this before in the past, I have kids. So what am I going to go for? Like what's going to be my actual, what's going to be the things that I look for? I'm not going to look for or care about passability. I'm going to care about whether or not they want to be a part of my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you going to want to do the hard things, like come for a dropping the kids off to, like my ex-wife, for example? Are you going to want to spend time with them? Are you going to want to spend time as a family? Are you going to want to have the time that you and I have together when they're not here, focusing on us and building us up so that we can be better for them? So again, like my situation is different in that aspect, but passability could not mean, like, it doesn't matter to me. And I hope it doesn't matter to anybody, because if you look for passability, you might overlook somebody that might be your perfect match.
Absolutely.
And when you do that, you start limiting your own happiness. Because again, like, you could overlook somebody that could make you the happiest person and bring out the best you that you could be. And the reason that you overlook them is because of yourself. So don't make that a thing for yourselves. And I will say that to everybody who is listening to this right now. Do not make that a thing for you, because you will be the one who ends up hurting for it, or it could be the one who ends up hurting for it. You overlook that, you might fuck yourself, and that's the last thing that you want to do. And then you don't want to be right, like, right? You don't want to you don't want to overlook that to go for somebody who looks like they're out of a fucking, like, one of the old Playboy magazines or Pornhub, who has no substance.
Yeah.
And when you do that and you realize that that's not what you want, then you get labeled as a chaser. Because you're looking for something that's not there. It's a fucking pipe dream. Sorry, I do apologize for rambling on for me. I do apologize.
Hey, it's all good, bro.
What is it?
Wait. Before we go in that direction, because we can definitely we can talk for hours and hours about that term chaser. But really, Stormy, something that you said when we kind of launched into this topic was you were talking about, like, the guys who are more willing to take a girl out to different places because she is, quote, passable. And, if any of your friends are watching, any of the girls are watching, you know, the thing they really need to understand about that shit is, I mean, frankly, the guy's playing on easy mode. There are men that play on easy mode. They choose super passable girls only. And, you know, they're still DL. They're not open. Taking you out doesn't mean they're open. Telling their friends, family, being not being, and I'm not saying you need to announce it to everybody that's in your world, but, you know, being afraid to tell anybody because, you know, for fear of being called gay or being seen as less of a man. Like, I just know that there are men, that's what they do. They date women that are highly passable, and they do this, and they don't tell anybody, and they make sure that they get the kind of girl where ain't nobody going to question it. And I say it's easy mode because it allows them to date a trans woman, enjoy being with the trans woman, but also skip doing the work on themselves that Dom was talking about, which is accepting themselves, understanding themselves, and really, you know, coming to terms with who you are and being secure. So, you know, just being taken out isn't that's nothing special. That dude is still DL. Still DL. And even a level below that are men who, you know, ladies, don't be fooled by a man just taking you out, because he could take you out on the side of town where nobody knows him, and you're not going to be anybody in his world. And, you know, at that point, he's functionally DL.
Wow.
So
That's
he's still DL. You going out, you ain't eating at the apartment all the time. He's still DL. It's what happens when you run into one of his coworkers on the street, when you run into one of the homies from the way back. I say this for cis and trans women. If you have been talking to a guy for 3 months and you haven't met anybody in his life, get rid of him. Be done. Inside of 3 months, you should have met a friend, should have a sister, somebody, a cousin, his roommate. At 3 months, I feel like at 3 months you should have met somebody. Hey, we're going out. We're gonna meet up with my friends and hang out, and you know we're gonna do this or do that. Like, you gotta.
And this is my friend.
Yeah. Like, and I'm not saying when he shows up, hey everybody, she's trans. Like, you know she's trans. You know she's trans. You know. Like, it's just the fact that, like, yo, this is what you're doing. You're not being real about who you are, and you intentionally choose women that allow you to hide and maintain your quote privilege in that sense. So I just had to get that out there because, you know, that is a thing. But I mean, one of the things the guys hit on as well was the reality of the situation is dating a woman who's passable is easier on the guy because you don't have to fight battles, explain every single place you go. Now, what I believe is, you know, anybody who has done the work should be down for the fight no matter what. So,
Agreed.
you know, you as a man, you should be a man of conviction, somebody who's ready to stand on your shit. Anybody challenges you, you're not budging. You're secure. You're set in who you are. Ain't nothing they can say gonna shake you.
Yep.
So that's the thing is these guys on easy mode. Oh no, they ain't ready for that. Oh man, you like that? So are you gay? What is it? Like, what's going on? Man, we can't be friends with you, bro. I don't fuck with niggas that's gay. And it's just like, excuse my use of the N-word. I know that's offensive to some people. I've gotten that feedback. But yeah, it's just that's why it's just like, yo, ladies, if you're passable and you're dating these guys and all they date are passable girls and nobody in their life knows that they date trans women, and it's essentially if you say something, you're outing him, and he's like, oh, essentially you're keeping his secret at that point. He ain't keeping yours.
So I do have to ask, because this was ultimately, I mean, it's not a game, right? So when I say the word game, just use the term loosely. Like when my ex-wife and I were together, and it's still now too, right? If someone goes, is she trans? Oh yeah. And I would just move on. And I mean, I would get looks like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's
but
me
like,
too.
It's more of one, I don't have to tell you if I don't want to. I mean, because that's her business if she wants to disclose that or not. But also too, at the same time, it's more like I don't think about her being trans. right? Yeah, she's trans, but it's not like constantly at the forefront of my mind. I mean, at least
Right.
in my adult
It's a
life,
type
that's not how. It's almost like uh, a reminder, like, oh yeah, I
Mhm.
forgot she's trans. Yeah, she's trans. But then I just move on from that, and people are left like, what the hell? But it is what it is.
Mhm.
Another thing is when I've learned how to pick and choose who to disclose that information. One, for my own sanity in the workspace or just in everyday life. And it's not me hiding it or trying to keep life easier. It's
Mhm.
more of a I don't want the hassle. I don't want to deal with
Bro,
this right now. You know, I don't.
does your mom know? Does your siblings know? Do your best friends know?
Right, but here's the thing: when I bring somebody into my life, right?
Hmm.
If
And no, bro,
if
forget
I
about
if
the somebody else. Forget about the somebody else. Do they know
no, what I'm
about
saying
you?
is what?
I said, do they know about you and how you get down and the kinds of women that you date?
Oh
Forget
yeah,
about the girl because you don't have to. They'll make their assumptions, whatever else. But do
right.
they know about you? That's what's. That's what I'm saying for the men. They don't want nobody to know about them
Oh, okay.
because they will. They feel they'll lose some sort of masculine capital over it, and it's an issue. But they target those girls just so that they can continue to
Do you want to
hide
know how to get over that?
themselves.
Do you want to know how to get over that feeling?
They
At least
Let
tell
it
in
be
us
my
known.
why and don't give a
it,
fuck about what they say.
There you
that,
go.
but I think a lot if in my own self growth, moving to Texas. So right now, like I said, I'm from Philadelphia. All my
Oh,
family's up there. Everybody that I know and grew up with in Texas, in Philadelphia, is everybody lives up there. I'm the only
Mhm.
one in my world that lives in Texas. So essentially, I was able to rebuild myself and to learn how to, again, be open and accept and overcome that challenge of somebody asking, oh, you're attracted to trans women? Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. And then you move on. Now, if I didn't move home, if I didn't move to Texas and
Mhm.
I was still home, I would be a different person. I would be what happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors, and that's none of your business. I wouldn't have had the self growth or the self confidence to be able to be open about my sexuality or my attractions or who I choose to share my romantic life with. Right. So you know, at home in the beginning, I was playing towards the tough, the Italian, bring one girl in the front door, take the other one out the back. Just,
Mhm.
it is what it is. Now it's like
Shout out to
I
Jersey
laugh.
Shore.
Yeah, well, it's not that bad, but like I got in a fight with my older brother because he's got his own insecurities and stuff like that, and he tries to bring that up in our conversation. I'm like, dude, you're 33 years old, right? So sometimes you can see it in my face, sometimes you can't. I have a TMJ, right? My jaw's crooked, and certain photographs, when I smile, you can really see it, and one side of my face blows out. Luckily, I found a camera that doesn't do that too well, but you can see it on this side.
You're
Um,
beautiful.
oh, thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
Felt that right here. Um, so I edited a smile on my profile picture, just gave it a little tweak, cleaned up my teeth a little bit, and just corrected my jaw, right? For my own self comfort. I don't care what anybody else thinks, but that's for my own self comfort. He blew me up saying, you're catfishing left and right, and this is the problem with you, and this is why you're fake, and nobody wants it. And I'm like, whoa, dude, all because he got catfished. He met a girl online, didn't know she was trans, then found out, and all of a sudden it's my fault. You know, Right. That's how my brother is. That's how my brothers are. You what?
He's blaming you for all of this?
Yeah. It like opened a can of worms and it just fluttered out. And I'm like, dude, you're
Right.
32 years old. You have a kid, and you're over here fighting me. What?
Wow.
Yeah, keep going, bro.
Okay, and you're over here fighting me over a photo because you got catfished, so you say, or you were put in a position that you want to sit there and make fun of me and belittle me over it. But now it's happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he wants to go on and say dead end job, so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. But I
it's a
pretty
lack
much
of
told him,
accountability.
yeah,
Be accountable,
exactly.
bro. Grow up.
Exactly, and that's what I've learned, especially being here by myself, having a voice. Who's behind me?
The cat.
Don't eat that. I've learned how to have a voice and to step up and actually put my foot down and tell it how it is. Before I would just kind of, well, that's my family, hon. I really don't want to. Now I've learned to tell them to step back. So that's just me.
Hey, man up. Now, Stormy, I want to jump back to the topic that you were taking us to before. I think you asked for us to describe to you what we believe a chaser is, which
which is low vibrational.
it is. Well, I think the very term itself has become a tool of women that are low vibrational, because it's overused. It's lost its potency because literally every guy here, every guy in my group, every man period in this space has been called a chaser. And obviously everybody can't be a chaser. Like, this is supposed to be a term for individuals who are behaving badly, who are stalkers, who are violent, who are, users, abusers, all these things. Everybody isn't that, but the way that, and I'll just say to the way that you describe it, the new girls use it literally. They use it interchangeably with men, chasers. Like, it's interchangeable to them. So the term no longer has anything to do with what we actually do. It's just, oh wait, you like trans women, so you're a chaser? No, I'm not. Like, it's turned into a derogatory term that is widely misused against men, period. And what has been happening as of late is really women have been using this term to sit in judgment over men and our sexuality. Essentially, you're demonizing our sexuality at this point using the term chaser in the way that so many people use it. I'm not saying every use is wrong. I understand the term, where it came from, who it's actually meant for, but it's literally used for everybody at this point. So you can't say everybody is this and then expect your term to have any level of potency, or for us to really respect it, because I don't even respect it. But I have used the term myself to describe men who are actually that. But fellas, go ahead.
So I'm actually very curious about the term chaser. So I know how it stems for the type of man, sure. But Stormy, in your community, or in the community, I should say, can a trans woman be considered a chaser somehow? Let's flip the book for a minute. That's a possibility, right? There has to be specific things that a specific type of woman is chasing after, because she can't feel that gratification, or what?
Yes and no. I've known a lot of Black trans women who would use the phrase "I'm white woman," and they would only date white guys. and they would consider white guys to leverage them in some sort of capacity. I've met a lot of Black girls who would use this reference. Oh, I'm white woman. I'm passable. The white guys, the white boys live for me. They give me coins, this thing. They take me places, things of that nature. And I actually got into a really big altercation with someone because I'm West Indian and I grew up in a pro-Black household. So like my transition is a little bit different. I transitioned in high school. My mom was like a hairdresser, so she had like trans friends, and I had I'm not trying to like excuse any things that happen to trans people, but I had a pretty okay transition, and except for getting kicked out of high school. But for the most part, I transitioned in society in real time, in real life with real people. So
Sure.
I had a little bit of difference with some people. So I don't know a lot about the community like that. But what I can tell you is I think there are Black T girls who specifically chase white men. So yes, there are chasers in that capacity. They won't date Black guys at all. They'll like I got into a fight with one girl and she was like, "Oh, Black guys are tired. They're trash. They're chasers. This thing they don't pay you coins. Um, they want to do all these things, girl." And I used to be like, "Really, Miss Thing Girl? All my dates is Black girl." When I was a working girl, I used to live for the Black dates because I thought the Black boys were more easier to deal with. I thought the Caucasian dates were the ones that wanted to try me, girl. They'd be like, "Oh, I want you to do this, I want you to do that," you know. Ugh. So, like, in a way, it's really taboo because, like, I've definitely seen a lot of certain type of girls only go for like white guys, and then, for me, I'm open to anyone who's nice to me. Like if you're nice to me, I'm open to that. Like if you could just like make me laugh, I'm open to that. Looks aren't really a deal breaker for me. Of course, we all want to wake up with a babe, but at the end of the day, looks aren't like a super deal breaker. It's more like if you're nice to me. So the coin can be flipped. There are girls out there that only want that certain type of white guy because it makes them feel more passable, makes them feel more like a woman. So yeah.
Now, so my question on that one actually, Stormy, is so would you consider that so like more so that Caucasian guys are more willing to date trans women based off of like a kink?
I think a lot of girls, especially girls of color, think that white men are more prone to be accepting to the trans experience because they appear to be more confident, let's say like in their career, their family structure. They're usually set up where they have like a nice home and a vehicle. So they're able to maneuver in areas that maybe they don't leave a trail, where opposed to men of color, they have more of a trail because they have a lot of homies. They may not have certain access, or maybe they don't want to. There's some men who make money and they still want to stay in the hood, so maybe a lot of, it's this is a deep conversation because we actually have a topic that we were working on called, white guy versus Black guys, and why some trans women feel that they would prefer to date a white guy. Because I think a lot of girls assume that white guys give them more of, I think it more plays with making them feel more womanly. They can go places that they usually probably are unable to go, like with maybe their counterpart.
Okay.
So
I do apologize if that was offensive at all in that one.
No, not at all. No.
you're good, buddy. So I'm gonna just jump in and Dom, I see the wheels turning down there, but I'm gonna just do this real quick, So look. So the issue at hand with this, and I guess we're just gonna really fly into a black space. But look, it's essentially people dealing with a small snippet of a community and then extrapolating for the entire community based off of a small sample size. So in America, there are 22 million black men. Most of them are childless. Majority of black men are childless. Most of them are middle class. But because there's some women who deal with what we call the Pookies and Ray Rays, the street guys, whatever, they just say, oh, all black men are these street guys and they can't own homes and they don't have this and they don't have that. And it's really kind of bullshit. It's anti-black as fuck. But, anti-blackness sentiments is definitely proliferated, especially to the point where, people are having shows about this, like, yo, because these black men this, these black men that, it's all bullshit. And, if you take any time to actually dig into the statistics surrounding black men, in terms of the amount of money that we make and what we do in our education rates and all that kind of stuff, like, it's not as bad. But, let's be real. There are people with immature tastes and they like flashy things. They like the dude with the car. They like, essentially guy living the drug dealer life. That's not a regular 9-to-5 guy. That guy who's flashy and's got the gold and the nice spot and all this other junk. There's plenty of 9-to-5 middle of the road guys out there who are making, anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. We're doing just fine. But, these are not the guys that these girls are hanging around. These are not the men that they're in proximity to. They're in proximity to literally some of the worst of us. And then they're basing the opinion of the entire gender on that, which is bullshit. And I won't ever accept it or stand for it. But that's only because I know that is not the complete story. And I know that, there's a lot more internalized racism, internalized white supremacy going on there to where they think white men equals better life. Because that's absolutely ridiculous. And that should have nothing to do with your dating choices, especially if you're black. But
it's 1,000% to do with the dating choices of a lot of the black girls here.
Yeah. I'm just calling out the bullshit of it. It's not.
I got into an altercation because this one girl, I told her, I said, how could you say you have an organization that helps the trans community, but you only help your friends? It's a lot of shade in this community. That's why I do live stealth, as I think this guy was saying his friend has friends that live stealth, because sometimes the community, they do a lot of things that just don't make any sense. And I don't think that makes sense. I think a lot of the girls where I live, per se, they only look for white men and Miss Things, the white. Like, I have a girlfriend that she gets on my nerves. She's always like, oh, girl, come on. The white dates over here. Every guy is a date. And I don't look for dates.
It's a trauma response. It's a trauma. People go through this.
Coin. It's always about, and it's too much.
It's bullshit. But no. Oh yeah, go ahead, Dom. Sorry.
Okay, so can you hear me? Okay, is this plugged in? Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
In my local town, I've met this girl. Right, I've known her because I used to work with her, and then she realized she was trans, so she fully transitioned, or to her extent of transitioning at this moment in time. She's black, right? In my experience so far with her, especially since my ex-wife and I split, it has been, she's only wanting me on her times, and I'm not validated enough to meet her standards, and that it's, I'm only convenient to her when she needs me to be convenient. But when I step up and I'm like, yo, what the hell are you doing? Like, I'm not playing this game with you. It's, she pulls the, see, this is why I can never be seen with you, because you think you're entitled to a specific way, and you couldn't handle me. You couldn't handle being with a black girl, and so on and so forth. And I don't know. It's just bizarre. I don't know if, Stormy, you're saying that your experiences are different, but that's just so far in my experience when it comes to, I would love to date black women. You know, I have no if I find you attractive, I'm going to want to date you or have some form of connection with you. But anytime when it comes to, in my case, the black women in this community, it's always been I'm not good enough, or it's just when they need a convenience, and then that's it. I don't know. That's on my part. That's what I've experienced. So it's one of those things where it's, do I continue to try and chase after these women, or am I going to be looked at as...
Don't chase any women.
Well, okay, right. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
putting myself out there to, if I find this woman attractive, to, okay, chasing was bad, but put myself out there to build a relationship with,
mm-hmm.
you know, when it's like, if you damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? It's, I put myself out there and I'm looked at as I'm not good enough because I'm not a black man chasing after them. And then if I don't try to put myself out there, it's been, hey, why aren't you showing me interest? You're attracted to trans women. I'm trans, but you're not putting yourself out there, and you know you're not spitting game, and I guess they're looking for that validation. Am I just answering my question at this point?
I think.
All right, then. Never mind. There we go.
Just do what you do. And there's love to be found in every corner of the world, in any race, no matter what. No one group is a monolith. Black trans women, white trans women, Latin trans women in general. This is a very diverse space. Same with the space with guys who date trans women. Very diverse in thought and in lifestyle and socioeconomic status, all that stuff. So, you know, it's just really disingenuous and just a problem when, you know, people say, well, all those people, all those this, all those that, because it ain't really ever like that. Now, I do understand that the few that you have messed with are like that. The few that, I mean, and I could even refer to the guys. You know, I hear guys, man, you got to watch out for these girls. You got to make sure they ain't working while they trying to date you and this, and this. And I'm like, okay, well, dude, you've experienced these things, but you're only checking for girls in this one particular place. Well, guess what? That's where those kind of people are. So, you know, you're checking for these girls in ballroom or at these pageants or at these community events, and you're mad that they all end up being working girls. Well, okay. Well, have you tried the library or somewhere else that has nothing to do with any of that stuff? Like, this is where you're shopping. You're getting the same results. So same for those girls. And this is with the black stuff, guys. This goes beyond trans. This is just black women, period. If you keep fucking with the hood dudes, what do you expect? You can't just say all the hood dudes is all black men, because that ain't it.
No,
that's bullshit. But I can't say, well, Wall Street is all white men. I mean, we know that ain't true. Trump's America is out there. There's a lot of poor white motherfuckers in this country on welfare and waving that MAGA flag. Yeah, there's Wall Street guys. There's guys in the tech and all that stuff. But it's just everybody ain't in one place. But I absolutely find it disgusting that there are black women who would say black men are not good enough, largely due to the worst stereotypes about us. And I would say the same for any black man or any race of person that would say, hey, black women are not good enough because of this awful stereotype, because of whatever, you know. So I don't believe in any of that junk. And, you know, take people one at a time. But, you know, at the end of the day, you got to look at yourself. You can only look at yourself in terms of what you're pulling from the dating pool. What are you doing? What hasn't been working, and what can you change up to get the results that you want? Now, these girls are obviously saying, I'm just switching races and saying no to black men, period. Okay. I mean, you can say that, but in my mind, there's something wrong with you mentally. You have a problem. There's something wrong with you. Like, you need help. Go get some therapy. So I know we went into a very whatever place, and I'm sorry, Stormy, I had to, you know, blast at it, but, you know, if you feel differently, email me. menlikeuspodcast@gmail.com. Would be happy to hear from you and delete your email as soon as it comes in. I don't need to hear from any divestors because all divestors are full of shit. And if you're a black woman and you count yourself as a divestor, fuck you. And that's about it.
Chris, can I just interject for 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
Just on that note, buddy, real quick.
All right.
Be right back.
Shouldn't matter if you're fucking white, black, purple. Like, shouldn't matter. If you're happy, you're happy. Like that, right? Like, it sucks that.
But that goes to the conversation you were talking about with the passable and not passable, which is we have these shallow qualifiers that block us from finding the person that's really for us.
Just like shouldn't fucking matter at all.
Yeah.
But the other reason I want to interject is because I've actually got to cut it short for myself at this point.
I feel you on that.
Bid you all a very good night. Stormy, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you. And catch you all in the next one.
Yep, for sure, bro.
All right, guys and gals, have yourselves a good one.
All right, man. Peace. So yeah, we definitely gonna wrap this thing on up. But Stormy, thank you for giving us your time today and taking us in different directions with the conversation. I'm officially canceled Chris today, but I don't give a fuck. I'm speaking it how I feel. And I guess I'll just be watching the comments to see what happens here when we run this thing.
I'll probably cancel too because I gave away some tea.
Stormy snitching on the girls. But before we roll out, Dom and Trell, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can go first, Trell, if you like.
All right. I'm King Trail on every social media, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok, where I mostly be at King Trail. So just like that. All right.
So
hit me up.
Hell yeah. You can find me at Dom Chioda or Drop It Like Dom on all my social media page. And then little shameless plug here. I'm going to be heading into new season of my VHS movie talk for you, the movie fans. That will be starting back up on Monday, so tomorrow. So after we're done here, I'm going to head right into my research and start setting all that up.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And I want to share this real quick. I'm going to get the share screen thing up. So y'all can catch Stormy on her channel.
Oh, yeah.
This is it, ValdezINC. So she's got a lot of videos on this channel. So, a lot of videos. She's been doing this for a minute. So conversations with her and her girls, and even a conversation with me from last year. See that one right there? See that Men Like Us. So definitely subscribe to ValdezINC. Subscribe to the Men Like Us podcast channel on YouTube. If you're listening on audio platforms, definitely give us a 5-star review. If you don't want to give us a 5-star review, don't leave a review. Just leave. Just don't touch it. So leave us a 5-star review, and you can definitely email us at menlikeuspodcast@gmail.com. If you have any, feedback for the show, any ideas, any topics you want to hear from us on, I'm definitely here for it. So, I'm just here to keep it real and tell how I see it. And that's what we did tonight. But thank you all for doing this. This has been a dope ass show. I loved it. I appreciate the great conversation, Stormy. I thank you for the dynamic you added to the situation. We're definitely going to do this again. So, and I plan on getting canceled again next time we do this. So, with that, we out, and we'll see y'all another Friday night.